there was one question I wanted. Oh yes, the marketing automation. Let's dive into that.
Okay. Yeah. So I should preface this by saying that I had like a really weird inner ear infection. This is like way too much information, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. And it messed up my balance like really bad. I was on a film shoot and I actually had to call it and had my the EP take over. Did an awesome job and we got what we needed. But I had actual vertigo, which I'd never had.
Okay.
And to be fair, I apologize to anyone who has it. I didn't think it was like a legitimate thing. It's kind of like when people talk about migraines and like, oh, isn't it just like a headache? And people with migraines are like, no, like it's crippling. Mm-hmm. It was like that. It was absolutely like unnerving and life-changing. So I went to the doctor and they prescribed me a bunch of steroids to help because they thought it was basically a virus that just was nibbling on my ear nerve. So for about 3 weeks, I was incredibly productive. Like I was reading.
Because of the steroids?
I guess so, because I was like, man, my reading comprehension has skyrocketed.
Whoa.
And so because I didn't get the energy surge or anything else that people talk about. I didn't have any like nausea or whatever. I just was like, all my books would just become fascinating. And so I read like 10 books on this and it was around marketing automation. So that's what I'm prefacing this. I was in some Superman, learning
Limitless
mode.
Zone.
Yes, all roided out.
Let me cut that clip right there.
Oh my God, it was so weird. That'll be the promo piece.
All roided out. That's the name of the episode.
So yeah, and basically I found a couple books that were really helpful, and I've been using Infusionsoft, which is the marketing automation tool that I use. It's basically Salesforce beats MailChimp meets PayPal. Like you can do billing, it's a CRM. I was using Salesforce and it was just astronomically expensive. So I was able to take all of my contacts, actually export them right out of Salesforce, import them into Infusionsoft. I also sell products online, like online learning. So we have Sage Media, and then I have a separate company called Sage Academy, which is the cheaper version of our methodology.
But it teaches you how to do it yourself?
It's basically like tools that faciltators can use to run their own badass facilitation.
So
you can buy my movie. And
so video producers might be interested if they want to take their direction of their company in that direction.
So not that necessarily. Okay. It's mainly like if you're a trainer facilitator and you want to, I want to run a course on bystander intervention and I don't have good media. And so we have like Hollywood quality films with didactic talking head videos, with experiential activities, with a facilitator script that you can read to sound like an awesome presenter.
Yeah.
So,
and does that actually convert to sometimes people getting this and then just hiring you instead?
Not really. Okay. It's really because it's like
you wouldn't want that because then that would be like the software isn't really working.
Well, that and it's just not necessary because the tools are so effective. It solves their problem immediately, and also like not many people are going to want to spend $100,000 to $500,000.
They're two different clients essentially.
Because it's just like it's anti-harassment training. Like the people I'm competing with free. So like if I can get somebody to use a tool that actually works, because I don't know if you know this, but anti-harassment training actually makes people more sexist, not less. So
and that's an interesting fact. And so about the marketing automation,
I'm avoiding it at this point.
I noticed that. What is some of the techniques? Why is it so important? Why has it been so transformational?
All right. So this is just for, I'll just talk for Sage Media because that's been the difficult conversion, right? Like I have a 6-month to 2-year sales cycle. They're very high-end products. I don't think anybody listening on this is like even a viable candidate for it, but I think it's important that they may have their own similar service where they're trying to sell a high dollar amount. But even if you're not, I mean, it's almost easier if you're not. If you're selling like widgets or plumbing services, like I mentioned, like that, you're in. The basic process, or the thought process is once you've defined the customer journey or the sales journey, you need to find ways to offload the work involved so that you're not touching it every single day. Like I have a friend who's a writer and he would go to these book signings, get 50 or 60 contacts, and then write them emails. 50 or 60 people, he would write them emails about like, thanks for coming to the book signing. And then hopefully there's a call to action, but whatever he put in there was like, Jesus, man, like I'm hoping that you actually backed off and wrote a small note and then you gave them like 2 or 3 emails over time, which is still a ton more of his time that he's using rather than one giant surge. But the idea that like you're going to convert someone with one email or that you're going to convert them once they go to your website is really detrimental. I liken it to the dating process that most people ask for the other person's hand in marriage immediately. They just walk up and are like, will you marry me? And instead of like, you see them on the street, you smile, you wave, and then one day you build up enough courage and you ask them to coffee, and then that leads to dates, and then you date for a while, you introduce them to your parents, then you get married, and that's the sale. And for a lot of people, that's the end of it. Now I'm married, I don't have to do any more work. And the reality is, no, you have to still nurture that relationship, go out, visit places, go take vacations, have children, maybe seek counseling if it's not going so well. Same thing applies in your customer journey. And that may look more like referrals, upsells, getting them to give testimonials.
I bet there's some courses out there of some guys who have done that for dating. Use marketing automation on dating.
Marketing automation, dating. That'd be great. So basically the analogy I think works pretty well because you're trying to get people in the first conversation. So my business partner is a great salesman, and he would always say, like, when he was selling Yellow Book stuff, he would just say, I would always, every time I called him on the phone, cold call, my goal was to get the meeting. It was never to close, because sometimes people would want to close over the phone. Would just tell me how much it is, or I'm interested, like blah blah blah. He's like, nah, I just need the meeting, and he would withhold that energy and not sell for the purposes of getting the meeting, because then there's a lot more he could do, and he could pinpoint what it was that they needed. So I think that the idea of marketing automation is somehow being more robotic is a misnomer. It actually is a way for you to nourish and enrich the interactions you're currently having with your people by being more specific. So customer journey is a core element of that. You have to define the lily pads that lead somebody to making an end purchase. So an example for me, I want them to buy my video production services. Well, before they can do that, if someone just came with a wad of cash and said, I want your video production services, I would have to say, let's slow down. I need you to go through this guided clarity session. This clarity session will help define what the technology looks like that's going to be implemented, what the learning objectives will be solved, how much this is going to cost you, the timeline, everything else, and then deliver that. That's X amount of dollars. Before you go to the clarity session, then, there's blah, 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 whatever. You take a webinar, we have a one-on-one call, and you just keep going backwards all the way till you get the initial thing, which is you came to my website and you wanted to download this free checklist. So you gave me a name and email. That's it. Now you've got the name and email. You can put them into a funnel. Based on their behavior, you put them through different gates. If they do this, then put them here. If they don't, then put them there. That allows you to basically manage all of the behaviors that you want. Like if somebody unsubscribes, it likely means that they don't want your content anymore. Yeah. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they won't buy from you. It just means that there are ways that you have to weight that and say, well, they said no because they don't have any money and they're not a viable candidate. So if someone comes to your website and they're not a good candidate, well, then what do you do with them? You just tell them no? See you get lost? No, you put them somewhere else. Or maybe you have a reference where you say, hey, for financial services, a guy told me that he does, ultra high net worth. He says, but if somebody comes to me and says, I have $1,000 to invest, I don't want to even talk to him. So don't. But don't be mean. Just be like, have a simple calculator, a simple survey that says, what is the amount that you want to invest roughly? And be colloquial, be friendly. And if someone says $1,000, I'm not gonna be like, get out of my office, leave now. You'd be like, okay, well, that's cool. Well, I got to go to my next meeting, but I really want to introduce you to this guy, Brian, who absolutely loves people who have $1,000 to invest. And then you become a resource and you just funnel it along and you never touch it. Marketing automation is all it is an online tool. It's like a web page builder that just does it for you. So you pick the things that you want, and then you have somebody, or you do it yourself, it's pretty intuitive, engineer the email campaign. And you can do A/B testing, where I send out 2 emails to 10% of my markets, like 2 different 10% groups. And the winning one that has the highest open rate is the one that gets sent to the remaining 80%. So all this stuff is built in. And it's it
works a lot like you would with a Facebook pixel.
Yeah, Facebook Pixel ties into it too. I mean, all of these things, Facebook Pixel is basically for you to be able to again, it's
get that information. Yeah,
get that information. And again, someone who goes to your site, I went to buy a card game for my son. He's young, he's like 4 years old, but he likes this game called Sleeping Queens.
Was he the one playing piano?
I think so.
On the phone? He's 4 years old?
No, that was the demo.
Okay.
No, I know it was like Bach or something. I
was like, dang, dude.
No, he's not that good. He's terrible. No, but he wanted this game, and I wanted to get it for them. So I added to my shopping cart on Amazon, and then I got distracted. I didn't come back to it. They sent me an email and were like, hey, it's time for you to buy this game. And I was like, I had seen other things pop up like collector's editions, and I was just kind of in the process of sorting it. But the fact that I had it in my shopping cart, what else was I going to do with it? So their point was like, buy it or get lost, like get it out of your cart. But they weren't like, I don't feel it was being manipulative. I think it was being like, well, you're standing in line. Please buy the product. And that's kind of the same thing. Like you want to be able to help people. They're here for that. Make it easy for them to make a purchase with you or to engage you. Most businesses confuse their customers. They don't tell them what they want them to do. I want you to schedule a call. I want you to, and scheduling a call is even like a weird double-edged sword where, why am I, like we used to have that on our website, and I'm going through a massive overhaul of mine because that was the CTA. The call to action was give us a call. What are they going to talk to us about? Like, really, what are they going to talk to us about? There's nothing to chat about. Like, I'm going to learn all about your business and then come to you with a proposal. No, I've got to convert them. I got to hook them in. And so I think marketing automation allows you to create a hook that engages someone to say, can you imagine a world in which blank happens? And you're like, that is exactly what I need. Like, yes.
This is a show where we have real conversations with the business owners and entrepreneurs here in Colorado Springs, doing things in the community of Colorado Springs.